Yeah,
you ready?
106. Hey, it's time.
What time is that?
The future is coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming on, it's coming.
And here we are coming on from Boulder Creek, California. Beautiful sunny day today. We have a house full of guests, and you'll hear noise in the background. That's probably the water pump dealing with the circulation in our little ship.
That weird hum that you haven't heard before, that's our house trying to get in on the act.
That's right.
Yeah, but it won't last forever.
No.
It should go on any second.
There it goes. Hear the difference? That's quiet.
What a relief.
So we got our science correspondent in San Francisco, Bobby Wilder, on the line. How's it going out there?
Glad to be with you today.
All right.
The sun is coming through some clouds right now, so yes, it's the first time I've seen sun. That's great.
All right. Well, our dear friend Gabrielle is leaving today. She might
leaving California.
Yeah, today. Yeah, right. She's on her way to Alpha Centauri. We'll hear her.
We're going to give her a wonderful send-off.
She's going to maybe do one story with us before she takes off.
Yes, we have to lure her in. All right. In the meantime, until that great moment.
In the meantime, there are a number of cool stories that I think are important that we look at this week. Including some of the new medical stuff that you sent in, Bobby. We'll get to that a little bit.
Hey, I don't hear you on Seneca's voice right now.
You don't hear us? Oh, dear. Thanks for mentioning that. Best laid plan. It just goes to show you, I am not a control type. I'm much more of a go with the flow type.
Maybe I should be in charge of the controls then.
Well, we've been saying that for years, honey, but you keep trying to
voice it off on you. Control.
Yeah, that's
keep
right.
I'm giving you control.
Yeah, that's right.
What's wrong with me? Jeez.
Well, I think you think in this case it's like doing the dishes. It just shouldn't be your job.
Yeah.
Even though you could be good at it if you really wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But I'll have to become extremely incompetent for you to feel like you should take it over.
Well, maybe we should let Bobby control everything.
Now we're talking.
Hey, Bob, what do you think? Do you think you can control everything from where you were?
I love control.
You do?
Oh. I didn't know that about you.
Really? You don't seem like the controlling type.
You're always
Bob.
so assisting of
you're always
others.
helping others.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. What controls are you interested in, Bobby?
Well, that's why I got a Roadcaster.
Yeah, because of the control factor?
You had to share the control board, huh?
Yeah. So,
well, we do too, so we should be able to control.
I would call that self-control, and I think that's a positive trait. Everyone should value their own self-control. That's a fundamental aspect of living in a free world, right?
Yeah, decentralized control.
Yeah, but it's when you start needing to control others that I worry, because I don't want to be one of those others unless I volunteer, unless I give my consent.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. We are a collaborative species. That's how we have actually succeeded as a species, by our capacity to take orders from others.
Yeah, right. Oh, we got our peanut gallery chiming in already.
Yeah, what they saying?
Yeah, boy, Billy Sunshine said more today than we have.
You think? Well, we have friends traveling around the world right now. Some friends in Ibiza who are visiting, not for the parties in Ibiza, but for their parents who we've had on the show.
Oh, well, their parents are very entertaining people. It's kind of a party in place when you go visit Andrea's parents. Remember we had her father on our show a number of years ago? And he was quite the jolly fellow. He played his harmonica. He had a huge smile. I mean, it practically blew the windows out of the room. It was like beyond ear to ear.
Yeah. He's a classic old German grandpa. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very jovial.
Right. And loves to play music. Well, the show in the studio is being attended by a lot of the regular irregulars. Hi, folks.
Where should we start? Outer space, inner space, in between space?
How about for a change, let's start with inner space and go outwards. I know we usually go the other direction.
Yeah,
but let's end in space today.
You think? Okay, well, we'll see. Okay. We'll try that.
Yeah. Shake it up, baby. That's what I say. Shake it up.
How about the AI space? That's not inner or outer.
That's pretty inner. No, I think AI is an invention of inner space, and it's doing its best right now to hoover up the outer space and internalize it. So it's kind of like the new black hole of information is the AIs.
Okay, well, what I want to mention in that world is that another OpenAI researcher quit.
Oh, yeah.
Now
and it's a woman this time, right?
Yes. Yeah, another one left the company, which is being seen as somewhat ominous in the high-tech journalism world.
Oh, no. OpenAI is the Terminator.
No.
Sarah Connors has left the building.
That's too simplistic, my dear.
Okay.
I mean, what's really going on? But yes,
Well,
there's
tell
an
us the
ominous.
details.
There's
You
more
straighten me out.
ominicities. There are more ominicities than Terminator.
Uh-huh. Really?
Oh yeah, that's not the worst.
Uh-huh. Okay, well.
All right, anyway, so
My ears are open.
an opaque
Scare me if you
decision-making
can.
process.
Uh-huh.
An opaque decision-making process.
Oh,
is
we
what it's
can't
gonna be.
see how the levers are being pulled. Huh?
Researcher Gretchen Kruger announced her departure, that this wasn't an easy decision to make. And while the OpenAI didn't quite go into detail, I can't imagine why not, about the forces that quit, she did offer a cryptic warning to the lack of oversight within the AI industry and why that matters. She thinks the foundational things need to be addressed, like decision-making processes, accountability, transparency, documentation, policy enforcement, the care in which we use this technology.
I'd say those are issues for the modern world. Those are the issues upon which governments fall if they do not comply with the will of the people.
Well, she says these influence how the future is charted and by whom.
Well, it sounds like she's feeling excluded.
Well, she decided to quit.
So what, she's joining the Rebel Alliance or what?
Well, that's the thing. These are decisions made by one of the big AI industry players. They're not the only player. Anybody who leaves one big player and is really into it is probably going to another player.
Right.
So there is that too.
Absolutely.
Right.
Are you tracking the career of Mr. Ilya Sutskever?
From OpenAI.
Yeah.
Not really. No, I just know that he quit
Well, I
recently
thought
again.
he
That's
was
his
the
original-
one that inspired everybody to jump ship with him when he quit.
Well, that was the original
a week or
thing
two
that-
ago.
Well, he also was center of the controversy last year.
That's right.
Yeah.
He was.
He's the brains of the company. He's the real
He's the real AI guy, right? The other guy
Yeah.
is the marketer. He's the Steve Jobs.
That's right. That's right.
So the marketer is running off with the controls and is being accused by the AI developers of not being opaque and transparent enough, same as it ever was.
Yeah.
Well, it's a turbulent moment in time. There's been a lot of recent scandals. Remember, it was a couple of weeks ago that OpenAI allegedly copied actress Scarlett Johansson's voice without her permission.
Oh, yes,
one of its new
that's the
products?
evil guy who's still left at OpenAI, Altman, who was the poster child for the scandal right at the beginning. And
Right, yeah. And there was another of the company's previously unknown practice of pressuring exiting employees to sign strict non-disclosures and non-disparagement agreements.
Like,
and if you broke
don't make
them,
us look bad.
and if they didn't like you, they could claw back your equity, your vested equity. That was a big concern.
Sure.
So
yeah.
anyway, then there's the people who dismantled their super alignment safety team, which is of concern. What's going on? What are they trying to do? That's the big question.
Well, this is like a messy divorce, right?
Yeah.
It's
In a way, from the people
AI
point
are
of
the
view.
children, and the parents are fighting over the children, and one of the parents is getting kicked out, and the other one's trying to keep the house and all the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it that way. Though, why is it that all these people were all part of the super alignment division? Why did they feel they were unable to do their jobs successfully, ensuring the safety and security of OpenAI?
Well, that's what happens. Alignment is only
Really?
possible if there is genuine agreement, and agreement is only possible if there's genuine information flow. And if somebody's trying to sneak something around the back door and not tell everybody, how can you have alignment?
Now, the relationships are all important.
Not just relationships. It goes deeper than relationship. It goes to genuine integrity and genuine keeping the original spirit alive of your intention to be of service to life and humanity and the planet and the civilization as it expands into the future. If people feel like you're not honoring those ideals, there needs to be a process. You can't just say, well, I'm going to take my toys and go home and you're excluded. And that's the old way, but that is not going to get us past the hump. We actually have to do the work to process whatever the disagreement is and come to a bigger vision that honors all voices being heard and a process that liberates the deeper truth. It's not just about who's in charge. It's not a power grab. When it comes to genuine forces of civilization, it's natural law. There's nobody in charge. There's only, do you honor life or do you fail?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, those arguments, I guess they apply to whatever organization you're part of.
Yeah.
So her thread, Kruger's thread, ended with, one of the ways tech companies in general can disempower those seeking to hold them accountable is to sow division among those raising concerns or challenging their power. And she says, I care deeply about preventing this.
Okay. Well, interesting how retiring from the fight somehow prevents this separation of powers. But it's interesting that America, the last 250 years, has been based on the separation of powers and the checks and balances, and definitely institutionalizing the competitive edge and the fight for dominance. And that in itself, there are reasons to use competition to sort for excellence, but we're really entering a time where life is crying for cooperation. So we need to stop overusing the tools of manipulation and control and regain our skills at using the tools of understanding and compassion and collaboration, cooperation, these things that are holistic in nature rather than divisive in nature.
Yeah, I can't disagree.
I'm so glad you don't disagree.
Yeah, you
know, we might have to arm wrestle about that if you did.
I know. Yeah. Well, it's hard to argue with you, Mrs. Future. I just, it's not in my nature. I don't know why.
Oh, well, just keep trying, honey.
Just keep talking.
Just
It's
keep
beautiful.
trying.
It's beautiful
We have
language.
fun. We have fun trying.
Yeah. Okay, so one of the other stories I like to bring up, this new longevity vitamin that you were pointing out to us all this week, Bobby. And I wanted to play the 1-minute piece on it, and then if you could discuss this a little bit.
Ergothioneine is known to cross the blood-brain barrier, since it can be found in human cerebrospinal fluid and postmortem brain samples. Perhaps this is why a study in Singapore found that those who consumed more than 2 servings of mushrooms a week had less than half the odds of suffering from mild cognitive impairment compared to less than once a week. And a study of more than 10,000 Japanese elders found that 3 or more times a week mushroom eaters had a significantly lower risk of developing dementia over a period of about 6 years. With cross-sectional studies correlating mushroom consumption with better brain function, researchers decided to put it to the test using lion's mane mushroom, which is especially popular in traditional Chinese medicine.
One of my faves.
Randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trials on people with normal cognitive function, on people with mild cognitive impairment, and on those with early-stage Alzheimer's disease did find small cognitive or functional improvements after months of a third to a full teaspoon of powdered lion's mane mushroom a day compared to placebo.
There you go.
I have to say, lion's mane, I love to get fresh lion's mane because when you cook with it, you can pull it apart, and it makes these wonderful little feathery additions to your dish. It's just really fun to pull it apart, and it looks like a little brain. So lion's mane looks like a brain. Fun to cook with. I am going to give us a little visit with some of the people in Santa Cruz who love Santa Cruz voice. Hang tight. We'll be right back.
The Hook is California's first ever cannabis outlet. 100% locally owned and operated, we're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. We believe that everyone should have access to fairly priced cannabis, so we work hard to get it to you for 30 to 50% less than the other guys. If you're 21 or older with a valid ID, visit us in Capitola or in Watsonville today. We're here to be your friendly neighborhood hookup. Check out our website, hookoutlet.com, for deals and stay groovy.
The votes are in. Chef Ben here from Back 9 Grill and Bar at the Easy Off Past Tempo exit. We are so proud of our food and our service and your votes. Back 9 has been voted Santa Cruz County's best burger and best happy hour in the good times. You've heard me talking about our house ground burgers. It's time for you to come and try one so you can taste the juicy difference. And what makes our happy hour the best? You have to come and experience it yourself. See you at the 9.
Hey, Warren, you know it's been a while since I've been up to your showroom and garden center in Scotts Valley. Maybe the folks out there might want to know where you are.
Absolutely. To find Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box Company, just head up into beautiful Scotts Valley. We're off of Highway 17 with only 2 X's to choose from. We're at 46 El Pueblo Road, next door to Scarborough Lumber and the beautiful nursery. We have a great showroom displaying all the many choices in roofing, from tile, composition, steel, flat systems in many styles, and now solar. And when it comes to wood items, we have It's All About Wood gift shop. And of course, the Knox Garden Box. What's a Knox box? Lots to look at. And while you're in Scotts Valley, check out the town. There's nice restaurants, breweries, wineries, shopping, hotels, farmers markets, and the entrance to the beautiful redwoods. Okay, folks, as always, we appreciate all of you out there. We'd love to see you at Knox Roofing and the Knox Garden Box store. And we can also come see you as well. Okay, thanks, folks.
Okay, we're back. We're talking about ergothioneine.
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 Yeah.
Okay, so ergot, as Greg's pointed out, LSD is derived from ergot fungus.
Oh.
It is. It
but
comes-
not psilocybin. That's a totally different derivation.
Ergot, I think it was first discovered on rye, on mold on rye.
Mm-hmm.
It's found in the ground. It's a fungus.
Among us.
In other words, it's not found inside the body, and we have to get it from external sources.
Oh, I see. If we don't eat it, we won't know about it, huh?
That's right. So, and it turns out the biggest sources seem to be mushrooms, and especially the gray oyster mushroom, blue oyster, shiitake is another one, and then lion's mane is another one.
No kidding. Mushrooms, huh? All right.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of longevity
have to
effects
eat
do they
raw.
have?
What kind of
Longevity effects are these being
Well-
tested for?
what they do is they actually, there's glutathione, which is very similar to this ergothioneine. And it comes in and in the fourth stage in your mitochondria, produce the ATP in your mitochondria. There's 4 different stages of oxygen that produce this energy, and then the fourth stage it produces energy. So there's 2 interesting points here, that if you introduce ergothioneine by eating it, and it eventually gets in your bloodstream, eventually it gets into the cell, it actually completes this ATP cycle. So this is very important to have energy.
It's
And
part of the
kind
Kreb cycle, the ATP adenosine triphosphate cycle? Of
That's exactly it.
biological
Just
energy
before-
production?
Yeah, exactly. That is it. So there's different stages of that. And so this ergothioneine comes in at the last stage. And what's interesting is methylene blue comes in exactly at this point too. So if you don't have the ergothioneine, you can use methylene blue instead.
Instead, really. Oh,
And the other interesting thing is there was one report that if you took Lactobacillus rhodori, it also produces this ergothioneine. And so there's a couple processes you can do to have this similar effect, but the most natural effect is using eating mushrooms.
and a combination of them. Kind of like
Yes, and the combination, and different mushrooms have different effects. Some of those, I think.
Oh, bandwidth.
Hmm?
So, what's the latest on mushroom longevity, and why are they in the news this week?
Ergothioneine does have an effect and can get into the cells and can extend lifespan. The first person to report on this was Dr. Bruce Ames out of UC Berkeley. He reported this a couple years ago, but now other longevity experts are picking up on this same aspect. And he's the one that cloned this longevity vitamins. He has coined that term.
Oh.
And he's saying that this ergothioneine is in this group of what he calls longevity vitamins, or essential proteins that we need to extend our lifespan.
Do they affect the telomere length?
This more has to do with energy and lifespan as opposed to a genetic component.
Okay, so it's the way in which
so-
it moves energy.
Yeah, It really has to do with there's two areas of research. There's the genetic research on telomeres, and yes, it's good to have longer telomeres and you will live longer with that. But in order to have energy during that time, you have to have your mitochondria working. So another group of people are working on the mitochondria aspect and claiming that's the most important part of longevity.
And this is more like that, right? This is more
That's correct.
Mitochondria,
Yeah.
adenosine triphosphate Krebs cycle, and actually energy generation. How sugar affects the system as well.
Yeah, I would say, I guess it does help in generating sugars, but more or less this is actually getting oxygen into the mitochondria and getting it to complete the Krebs cycle and producing ATP in the end. And that's how we get our energy out of the cells.
Oxygen into the mitochondria.
And there's another theory, it's actually at the end of the cycle, you're actually getting a hydrogen ion, which is the center part of the proton, and it actually ejects out of the mitochondria and into the cell. And that gives it this positive charge, and that's what gives energy to the whole process. So it's all about hydrogen. So there's other people taking hydrogen water and claim that that gives them more energy.
Yeah, I've played with that. Yeah, that's a MycoSpectrum.
MycoSpectrum? Yes, that's what Gabby's
makes some mushrooms, right? That would be an ideal for this sort of longevity.
It's absolutely true, because she selects many of these top mushrooms and they're in her blend. And we hear all these
anecdotal
experiences by people that take the MycoSpectrum and they claim they have a lot more energy. You can actually see which mushrooms that she's using, and I accredit that to that.
Yeah. Seems like it was one of the simplest things to do to increase your longevity is the right combination of mycelial compounds as an additive.
I think the word Gabby uses is adaptogen.
Adaptogen.
Yes. In Europe, especially like Italy, they eat 3 times more mushrooms than Americans do. And they claim that they have a lot more energy and can live longer. One of the blue zones is not Sicily, but one of the islands along the coast of Italy there. It starts with an S.
I want to say Sardinia. There you go.
Sardinia. Yes, it's Sardinia. You got it. What's interesting, yes, they do eat mushrooms there. They also have a special kind of yogurt. So I think the Lactobacillus rhodori is in that yogurt. So they're getting ergothioneine through different sources there. They have a high rate of centenarians, like abnormal amount. And so it's one of the 7 blue zones in the world.
How well can those centenarians function? Are they cognitively present? Are they vital in their bodies?
Yes, they are. They still go to work, even though, or work in the fields or make in their gardens or whatever, well after 100 years of age.
Yeah, well, that'll keep you young for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, they're saying that in the United States, we don't eat enough mushrooms and that we should eat more mushrooms at least 3 times a week.
Yeah. Well, I've got some great mushroom soup recipes I try and bring in every now and then.
Oh, great. Yeah. You have to share those recipes. Yeah.
The Hungarian mushroom soup.
That's right.
Yeah, that's...
you got to keep your stash of smoked paprika available. It just is magic. Goes great with mushrooms.
Yeah, it's really something else. We liked that particular soup so much that when it shows up in the supermarket, we just grab it.
Yeah, and if it doesn't show up in the supermarket, we just make it. I would say you can call us mycophiles because we love mushrooms.
We have a person in the house who has actually created an adaptogenic blend that has an effect on longevity. I wanted to have her say something about that blend and why it's important. Gabby, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
All right.
Hi.
All right. Welcome back, Bobby. Welcome back, Gabby.
Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Gabby.
Yeah, Gabby's here. Yeah, we're going to talk about the adaptogenic blend, but first, let's mention that she had a chance to see Bobby in person on this trip down at his place and had a great tour of San Francisco.
Yes, Bobby and his partner, Katya, have a beautiful home and welcomed us for a couple days. We had a lovely time. Most listeners don't know this, but Bobby is a master of the kitchen. He loves cooking, and he's so good at it. And he
really, I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
really?
Thank you.
he prepared some amazing meals for us.
Wow,
And,
wow.
Yeah, and their home is just so warm and lovely, and just it was really wonderful to spend some time with the both of them. It wasn't enough time, so hopefully in the future there will be more time.
Yeah.
Bobby's in a part of San Francisco where you have this incredible view. One of the
Oh,
hilltops,
yeah.
so.
It's like a 200-degree or more view of everything. You can see the water and
The bridges.
yeah, everything. It's nice.
Garden.
Beautiful garden.
Yeah,
beautiful.
the gardens
Yes.
and-
Katya and Bobby are like the best gardeners. You could just sit out there all day long and look at the flowers and the birds and not do anything else.
Yeah.
Very easy to do.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. I've never been in your place, Bobby. We'll have to visit sometime.
Yeah, you have to stop by. We have usually a tenant that's living downstairs, but he had just moved out and we've been showing it. And in the interim, we allowed Gabby and Mihai to stay down there. So it's a nice studio place. We're going to have a new tenant in the middle of June, but if you guys come up before then, you're allowed to stay down there.
Oh, you should.
Anyway.
You should. And you should tour Golden Gate Park and get that little park pass for the day because everything is blooming there. If you're into that kind of thing, I would recommend all listeners to go and do that. In addition to the beautiful wildflowers that are everywhere, especially when we went to Point Lobos a couple weeks ago.
Right.
The flowers in Golden Gate Park were just outrageous. This week, all of the rhododendron will start blooming this week and next week, and that's very special.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous time of year. So we were just talking about this latest stories coming in on ergothioneine, a supplement that's been discovered to improve mitochondrial function.
Mm-hmm.
Mushrooms are a part of that. I'm just wondering if you, making your adaptogenic blend, is this new information for you, or is this something that you've considered?
There's so much research happening with adaptogenic mushrooms. This isn't surprising to me. This was not a focal point of my decision to create my adaptogenic blend. It was more of a spectrum. The product is called MycoSpectrum because I incorporated 14 different adaptogenic medicinal mushrooms that really are targeted. Some of them are all-encompassing of wellness. Others are more targeted, like lion's mane, and we know is good for cognition. We know that cordyceps helps with energy production. So yeah, I'm not surprised that the white oyster mushroom, in this case, helps with cognitive health overall. And I think they all do. So it's nice to see studies that confirm this. But in my opinion, from what I've seen in myself and from those who are using MycoSpectrum, is that it's got an all-encompassing array of benefits.
You have a particular goal in mind in creating that blend of 14. That's a lot of ingredients.
It's 14 different, 2,000 milligrams in just 2 teaspoons. It's quite powerful.
It works well with coffee in the morning.
It works really well. Some of our friends really enjoy mixing MycoSpectrum with their morning coffee. I mean, talk about alert. It just, your body just really wakes up to this. It's amazing. And in terms of my health and wellness overall and those who are taking it, I can't make health claims except to say that my experience and the experience of others has been astoundingly positive. We are not getting sick the way that we used to seasonally and all of these things in the past that we could look forward to, multiple times throughout the year, picking up a cold here and there, colds, flus. I don't get these things anymore.
I noticed that. That seems to be true here too. Funny.
Creativity, energy, alert without feeling, even if you take the mushrooms without caffeine, they still give you this alive, awake kind of feeling. Adaptogens, what mushrooms do, and this is all mushrooms, not just my product, which is amazing because it has so many of these mushrooms, but any mushrooms are going to have amazing benefits because they've got beta-glucans, which are these polysaccharides. They are so great for your immune system. I can't say enough about it. They'll upregulate, they'll downregulate, they adapt to the needs of your body, in addition to reducing intracellular stress. So when we talk about antioxidants, they are some of the most powerful antioxidants. They're just remarkable. Everybody should be eating or taking mushrooms. And this mushroom powder,
tablespoon
3 times a week.
1 tablespoon, right. So just in my product alone, if you just took 2 teaspoons of it a day, you could do less than that, 1.5. This is a cumulative thing that is safe for even children to take. Few, if any, people are really allergic, have any kind of negative response to mushrooms.
Do you think they can be a preventative approach to health? Like, for example, if you're going to be pre-diabetic or something like that?
Mushrooms, yes. Mushrooms will help to regulate all of these systems. These should be an incorporated part of our daily diets. This should be as ubiquitous as drinking your water, in my opinion, because this is real food medicine that's available to us. And don't forget to cook your mushrooms, by the way. They need to be steam processed a little bit, which MycoSpectrum is right out of the package, in a powder form is already completely bioavailable because our mushrooms are steam processed. They're grown here in the U.S. organically, and they're third-party tested. They don't have any starches or fillers, as many products do.
Yeah, I remember you're sourcing these. It seems like it's a bit of a challenge to get good, solid source for all 14 once.
It's impossible. Yeah. Some of the mushrooms that I have are only grown in the Pacific Northwest. They don't come from anywhere else. And the company that I'm using is working with people like Paul Stamets to get these strange, the Suhirotake, the agarikon is actually the one I'm talking about. So agarikon, like good luck finding agarikon, by itself. So an agarikon is an amazing mushroom that only grows in this one place in the world so far that they've been able to find. So the company I'm using cultivates this mushroom, mycelia.
What attracted you to it? Did it have particular function? Or
It does. They contain these powerful beta-glucans.
Beta-glucans?
Right. Yeah, 1,3 and 1,6 beta-glucan. Just extremely powerful antioxidants. They're polysaccharides, so these are complex sugars that act to help the health of your cells. This is like a total body thing. This is from head to toe, total health.
Now, can you combine them with a smoothie?
You can combine them with anything you want to. And that's a good thing.
It doesn't have just about be coffee. It can be smoothies as well.
It can be anything. Sure. At home, that's what I do. I'll add some collagen powder with some whey protein. Mm-hmm. Even though I'm adverse to dairy for the most part, the whey protein, my body seems to handle it very well. So I'll do that with maybe a tablespoon of MycoSpectrum. And some other ingredients. I'll add maybe a banana and some berries, usually berries. I try to keep the sugar low. Yeah. So I really love raspberries, blueberries, even cherries, and I'll get them frozen because they're flash frozen. I don't have to worry about whether something's going to go bad or something like that. I can just pull them out at any time of year and get this great fresh smoothie. I have another friend who mixes it in with his peanut butter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. You could mix it into your dinner. You could be preparing dinner for your family and mix it in. Nobody would ever know because it just will take on the taste of whatever is kind of around it. It's amazing. Yeah, it's insoluble fiber though, so it is nice to put it into something where it's going to kind of either remain in suspension through like an oil, like MCT oil or butter even. Some people like to make their bulletproof coffee with butter. Any kind of fat that will hold this insoluble fiber is quite a lot of fiber. Mushrooms, they're solid. They won't dissolve easily.
Yeah, it seems like mushrooms have been around since the dawn of civilization.
They have. And we've known about things like ergot. We suspect that part of the reason why people were having psychoses during the Salem witch trials and things like that were because they were hallucinating from this rye bread that had grown this fungus on it. We know about this. All of our antibiotics came from the fungal world. Nearly all of them. Penicillin, certainly these are funguses. Yeah. Fungi.
So fungi.
Fungi.
Yeah.
Our natural world. I think as we began to realize that people are into healing from their natural environment. This has always existed, but people seem to be much more tuned into that now. In my business, I started creating targeted wellness teas several years ago, and I was on the mushroom kick because I knew that there was something with that. We're all probably very familiar with psychedelic mushrooms with psilocybin.
Oh yeah, that's common knowledge for most of us.
Yeah, exactly. So we had already had an introduction to the kind of mystery of fungi, and I think people like us and other people who are health conscious, that this was a natural progression because these mycelial networks where we are seeing the fruiting body of a mushroom only appears under very specific conditions. But the mycelial network that is literally the thread of every living thing, coming out of the ground. This is mycelia. This is like the neural network of the earth is existing underground, and it's helping to transmit information and nutrients to all of the plant life around us. So it just seems like a natural progression for us to look to this world as a potential healer, which it is.
Yeah, it's something that seems to be becoming more in the common knowledge as we go forward here. I'm impressed about how many kinds of mushrooms there are and how useful they are in so many different ways.
So many ways. And that's the beauty. I love seeing these studies that are looking at these very targeted ways that mushrooms are helping. And I suspect that if you think of a way that a mushroom might be able to help and then you investigate it, that the mushroom is definitely going to help, because this is just the nature of them. We're going to be shocked and amazed every time we go to study a mushroom or a fungus.
I wonder, for example, if they could be configured so that, like you see in the cannabis world now, combinations to wake you up, other combinations to help you sleep.
We do. We know that turkey tail mushroom in particular is good for destroying a certain kind of cancer and many cancers. So yes, this is already happening where people are formulating blends that are for energy production. When you want energy, you might have a large amount of cordyceps mushrooms in that blend. Or if you're looking for something to help your cognition, you might look for something that is lion's mane dominant. So we can kind of stack these things in order to get the results that we want, which is why I wanted to create an all-encompassing product in MycoSpectrum.
Yes. What boggles my mind is how you figure out how to get 14 different things to work synergistically together, and each one of them is a profound mixture of compounds to begin with.
It's wow. I tell people to take MycoSpectrum for a week solid or 2 weeks solid, and then go off of it and then go back on it. And you really see the difference there. MycoSpectrum.com.
Yeah. How do you spell that now?
MycoSpectrum or boardwalkbeans.com.
That's right. That's the coffee company.
That's the coffee company. That's our big guy brand, which you guys got to enjoy for the past 3 weeks. I shipped out an enormous amount of coffee. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Well, we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Gabby.
All right. We'll be back after some news and views from Santa Cruz and Future Now. Taking a break.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Welcome back, Mrs. Future.
Glad to be here. Glad our signal's actually working.
Yeah, and welcome back, Bobby.
Yeah, I guess we're working.
Yeah, we are. The bandwidth's been kind of crazy today, but hey, it's all be fixed in post.
That's right. Fix in post. That's our job.
Glad we had a chance to get Gabs on briefly before she takes off for the East Coast. That was good. And I'd really want to get into some little space news now. I'm excited about this new Dreamchaser plane that's coming out.
Oh, yeah?
It's like a mini space shuttle. It actually takes off on a rocket and lands on a runway.
Yeah.
It's a $1.4 billion plane, and it'll take cargo and humans into orbit after passing some final tests. It will be kind of like the Dragon or the Boeing Starliner, and being able to take crews to the space station and into lower Earth orbit and prepare us for our transfer to lunar orbit and exploration of the moon, which will be the next step with this technology. And it's the first commercial space plane to finally lift off this year. The Sierra Space's Dreamchaser. It will be initially going to the ISS. They're going to send it up with 7,800 pounds of cargo. That's 3,540 kilograms. Though the first flight will be unmanned, it will carry people soon thereafter, once it's proven to be successful. And now this is part of a program that Boeing and SpaceX and Sierra Space were part of a decade ago when NASA was looking at collaborating with private industry to develop space. So far, SpaceX has been the only one to have one of their private craft actually carry astronauts. The Starliner from Boeing is supposed to be doing it as early as next week. We'll see. They're having some problems with it taking off. But Sierra's probably be up by October.
Who's launching Sierra's probe Or who's launching
which
this?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Dreamcatcher?
This future, I don't know which rocket it's going to go up on. That's a
Right.
very interesting
Yeah, because
idea.
this
There's a
space
Falcon
plane,
9.
it looks kind of like a plane, but it actually is the same part of the rocket as, say, like the Crew Dragon.
Yeah.
And the intention is for it to get launched and then to go to the ISS, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll go to the ISS sometime later this year. Yeah.
And it's a cool plane, and it has retractable wings so that they're planning for it to fly back when they're done.
Yeah, that's a little different from the Sputnik shuttle. The shuttle didn't have foldable wings.
Yeah.
Let's see.
No, I'm talking about the Dream
Chaser.
Chaser.
Sierra Space
Chaser.
Dream.
Chaser.
Chaser, yeah.
Chasing Dream.
It's really a sexy looking plane. It's a miniature space
plane.
shuttle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it could fly back or glide back down.
Right.
Looks like the shape of it.
That's the idea. They can use all those runways that they had done for the shuttle. They'll be able to use them for the Dreamchaser. And right now, it just completed some rigorous tests at NASA's Neil Armstrong Test Facility in Sandusky, Ohio. Those tests include intense vibration and shock tests that sort of like simulate the conditions of launch and extreme temperatures that are typical of space. They're going to be exposing it to all those things. They did, and apparently it's passed those tests. Its next stop will be shipped to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida before it gets launched to the ISS. So that's what's going on now. No specific date yet has been revealed. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, great.
Yeah. So can it only handle 2 astronauts at a time? That's why it's smaller?
I don't know. I would think they would probably want to carry at least 4. I think we have to get an article on the details of the Dreamchaser. See if you can pull something up like that. Maybe we'll find out. Just take a look at it. See what you can find. I bet it'll carry at least 4 people because that's what the other guys are doing in their capsules. It can only handle 2 people. I'd be less inclined to fund it if I were NASA, you know? Hey, Siri, how many people can fit in the Dreamchaser space plane?
The originally planned Dreamchaser space system is a human-rated version designed to carry from 3 to 7 people and cargo to orbital destinations, such as the International Space Station.
There you go. 7 people max. SpaceX is setting the date for the next Starship flight. It's a highly anticipated flight. It's the 4th one in the Starship program. The idea is to bring the Starship into operational readiness and get it ready so that it can fully function. They're going to demonstrate its ability of the first stage to make a soft landing. You know how the smaller Falcon 9s are all landing their boosters very nicely. It's a very beautiful thing. Well, they're going to try to do that with the super heavy booster. And the Starship upper stage is going to make a controlled re-entry through the Earth's atmosphere and fall into the Indian Ocean. At least that's the hope on this one. It will also carry no payloads for the next one going up. They're going to be looking at mostly just about flight data. They're going to be analyzing its actual performance. It's the largest and most powerful rocket ever built, and it's the first launch system ever intended to be fully and rapidly reusable. That's what makes space affordable.
That reusable factor.
Right.
We can't just flush the rockets down the toilet anymore.
Nope, no more.
We have to spend our tax dollars on other things.
That's right. They, of course, have studied what went wrong with Flight 3. They dissected Flight 3. To just give you a recap on that, after the stage separation between the booster and the Starship, 13 of the 33 engines successfully relit to make a controlled flight through the lower atmosphere. The boost back burn, however, was not so successful. 6 of those engines shut down early, and later in the descent, as the rocket neared the sea, it was supposed to use those 13 engines to make the final landing burn, which it couldn't do. They shut down early in the boost back burn. They were disabled, leaving 7 engines not working. Only 2 actually were successfully igniting. So the booster had lower than expected landing burn thrust, and it lost control at about 462 meters above the Gulf, about 7 minutes into the mission. Now, if you were watching that, you could see it glowing.
It was my
red.
favorite test flight so far because that red plasma burn as it re-entered the atmosphere.
Yes.
It was fascinating.
Fascinating, beautiful, and sad in a way, too, because it actually burnt up. But the cause of the failure, however, was traced. to a blockage in a filter where liquid oxygen flows into the Raptor engines. And they had a similar problem that occurred in the previous flight, the second test flight of the Starship, in November of 23. They had made some hardware changes to address it, and apparently it wasn't enough, so they're going to further modify it for this next flight. And they hope to improve the propellant filtration capabilities. As far as the upper stage, it had lost the ability to control its attitude during its coast phase in space. Now, why would you lose control of your attitude? You get angry? No.
Attitude means what direction you're pointing.
Yeah, it was found to be due to clogged valves. Valves always seem to be a problem. Valves. Yes, reaction control thrusters on the upper stage. They note that SpaceX has since added additional roll control thrusters on upcoming Starships. But they have not made it clear whether or not those are been implemented on this flight.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense that they are going to control which direction the rocket is pointing and have a few redundant systems for that.
Right.
Because if they are testing the thrusters and they want those thrusters both to re-enter the orbit in the right place and to be available when they do the soft landing, they have to be able to point the rocket in the right direction, especially if something's going wrong.
Especially, yeah. So this lack of attitude control caused non-nominal reentry, they called.
Non-nominal means not what we're expecting.
Non-nominal, yeah.
A nominal leg, how much it costs to do this right.
Right. If they can fix these technical issues that were observed on Flight 3, the filter blockages, the attitude control on the coasting phase, and managing the reentry from orbital velocity, if they can get all those issues, they can go on to the more advanced test. What are those, you might ask? Well, those include landing the Super Heavy booster back on the launch pad in Texas.
Yeah, right now they still have to launch it on a raft in the ocean.
Or catch it in the ocean.
Oh, right, catch it.
I don't know if they have an actual floating craft that can capture the heavy booster yet. It's going to be a lot bigger than the other one.
So they're going to catch it. You mean they have a catcher arm?
I think they plan to have these chopsticks.
Yeah.
Right.
You've seen that?
Yeah, it's like having a net, catching a bird with a net.
Yeah, they have giant chopsticks that grab it as the rocket comes down and hold on to it.
It's like, okay, I got my arms. Jump, I'll catch you.
Yes. Just land near me so I can get you.
That's right. Over here, it's like a fireman and the rocket is like jumping out of a burning building. Right?
Yeah. It's a fascinating article. If you get into it, it's in Ars Technica, and it's got a lot of comments from all the geeks out there that really want to analyze every one of these problems in great depth, and they all have wonderful questions about tanks and locks and pumping things and filters and inert gases and dry ice and all the things that require the rockets to work properly. They also point out that valves often fail in rockets, as they do in people too, and valves, they call them the devil's bargain in rocketry because you absolutely need them and they absolutely make it work, but they also can cause the rocket to blow up.
Because they might clog, right?
They clog, yeah. Clogged valves can be the end of it all.
Well, and that is what caused them to have to blow the rocket up on the last test.
Yeah,
test
valves.
number 3.
Valve job.
Yeah. Dirty oxygen fuel getting stuck on the filter.
That's right.
Something like that.
So that's Flight 4. They're targeting June 5th.
June 5th. Okay. Week away.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Beyond hydrogen. You know, what's beyond hydrogen? Hydrogen is the simplest element in the universe. So that got my attention. So it's a discovery of a tiny new atom called tauonium, like in Tauonium, I guess, maybe with massive implications.
It's spelled Tau. I know it's one of the quark. Right? It's one of the quark states, Tau. And so this is like an ion of that quark. So it's Tauon.
Yes.
And I'm not sure chemically what ion means, but it's Tauonium.
Tauonium.
Right? So we have an ionic quark is the new element that is fascinating the physicists.
Yes, and what's enigmatic is that this first sentence that describes it says, recent discoveries in quantum physics have revealed simpler atomic structures than hydrogen. Simpler atomic
no
structures than
proton, it
hydrogen,
sounds like, right?
involving pure electromagnetic interactions between particles like electrons and their antiparticles.
I see. So it's not a proton, it's an anti-electron.
Yeah.
Oh, these physicists, what they won't do to find a new frontier.
Yeah, hydrogen atom used to be considered the simplest atom in nature.
The building block.
Right, the fundamental building block.
90% of all known things in the universe that we've discovered so far
and it
are
was
made of hydrogen.
And
then 9% is fused hydrogen, aka helium.
Yeah.
So only 1% is everything else.
So, hey, hydrogen, a structureless electron and a structured proton.
Oh, there is a proton.
Well, that was hydrogen, a structureless electron and a structured proton. But as research progressed, the scientists discovered a simpler type of atom of a structureless electron, a muons or douons, and they're equally structureless antiparticles.
Okay, so we've changed the model because really all of these things are below the threshold for us to actually see the thing itself.
Well,
we can only see the effects
in terms of understanding it.
Of our tools to see what's happening with the light when we get an interference pattern. That's how quantum physicists are studying the structure of atoms.
Well, they want to know how these atoms are bound together. What's holding them together?
Right.
And what they've been finding is that there seem to be electromagnetic interactions.
So there's a magnet involved?
Solely electromagnetic interactions.
Right.
Simpler structures than hydrogen atoms.
Okay.
It's fundamental symmetry and gravity. Dowonium.
Why did they need to
They have pure
redefine...
electromagnetic interactions. Pure electromagnetic. The electron-positron bound state and the electron anti-muon bound state. There's been no other signs of other atoms with pure electromagnetic interactions. Dowonium, which consists of a dauon, Tauon, and its antiparticle, are what's being looked at here. This implies that dowonium can test the fundamental principles of quantum mechanics and quantum electrodynamics at smaller scales. And this ostensibly provides us with a tool for exploring the mysteries of that micro world. It has implications for the fundamental physics.
Well, you don't get much more fundamental in physics than protons and electrons and muons. And
well, apparently the measurement, the precision measurement of Dow lepton mass can be improved to an unprecedented level of what they call 1 keV, or 2 orders of magnitude higher than the highest precision achieved by other experiments.
Oh, whoa. We're going into the microverse.
More precise testing in the standard model.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a great new word.
So this is an element that doesn't have a proton or a neutron in the center.
Yeah.
And it's lighter, much, much lighter than hydrogen, but it's considered an element.
Yeah, it sounds like a free radical version of hydrogen.
Yeah, it's a radical hydrogen, yes.
Yeah, you wonder, what is the half-life of these particles, or are they even considered particles?
Well,
pure electromagnetics, aren't they?
Well, maybe it's part of light, because light is a photon, but when it hits, you don't see rays of light going through the universe. Only when they hit an object do they release a photoelectron, and it becomes a particle. You can see it at that point. So maybe these things are flying through space, and we just don't have a way to capture them.
It really changes your idea about what the fundamental structure is. Space empty or full? Maybe if it's invisible, it's still full. We just don't get a chance to experience it until there's an interaction. So everything that we experience is just this tiny micro subset of all that is. And it's just the stuff that actually interacted with itself. And everything out there is still there. It's just invisible.
Yeah.
Well, these are being studied at the Super Dow Charm facility in China and the Super Charm Dow factory in Russia.
Well, I guess people are picking different quarks to specialize in, right? Quarks are different directions of the spin of the hydrogen molecule. Charm, Dow.
Leptons, there's dozens of these subatomic particles that make up either an electron or make up a proton.
Yeah, but they're just different classifications of spin.
Yeah. And
they say pure electromagnetic interaction is key to these. They're pure electromagnetic. I guess because there are other, hydrogen has something else going on besides pure electromagnetic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder maybe there's no collision involved. Maybe they're just hitting them with energy. So we're going into a frequency experiment instead of an impact interference pattern experiment.
Yeah, and if it's pure frequency, then in electromagnetics, then maybe there's a chance that that is closer to how our thoughts can affect matter.
The big question we really want to know.
Yeah,
how can we
level?
get the world to obey our thoughts?
Yes, it's the most sensitive measurement. This sounds like the instruments that would be possible by working with the tiny new atom, Tauonium, would allow us to.
Tauonium?
Tauonium. Maybe even read thoughts. That'd be interesting, huh?
That'd be very interesting. Yeah. All right, well, shall we ponder that while we listen to some Santa Cruz voices?
Okay, I'm pondering. Go for it.
All right, we'll be back in a flash. Just a mo. Here we go.
My friend Beth was spending around $70 a month, $70 on prescription drugs. She went online and saved a bunch. And with the extra money, every month, Beth buys supplies to expand her business.
90% of all prescriptions are covered. Check for yours at monthlyfeerx.com. Never again overpay for your meds. Monthlyfeerx.com. Get all your meds for one small monthly fee, rx.com.
Treehouse dispenses not only the finest cannabis products, but information to those who want to know how to use cannabis for maximum benefit. Hello, I'm Jenna. If you would like to know how best to use cannabis, ask your friends and neighbors at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 SoCal Drive. If you're 21 plus with a valid ID, no appointment is necessary and the information is free. Order online at ourtreehouse.io and pick up at our drive-thru. See you soon.
When your business is on the move, you must find the right place for it to move. Let's ask Matt Chelton, General Manager of J.R. Parrish, the big question. What is the right place to move one's business?
Location, location, location. Sometimes it's rent. Sometimes it's the fact that there aren't that many buildings available to suit you, but mostly it's location of your customers, location of the principals, location of your employees.
Move it to the right place with the help of the power brokers at J.R. Parrish in Santa Cruz.
When you need help managing your estate, call on the Angel.
Hello, I am attorney Angel Hess, and I am ready to help. Whether you need a will or a trust, a guardianship or a conservatorship, or if you are managing the financial affairs of a loved one, I will help you with over 7 years' experience working in estate planning and probate fields.
When you need help, call on the Angel, attorney Angel L. Hess at santacruzlegal.net.
Okay, welcome back to the show. This next story, thanks to Hal Myers, turned me on to this. U.S. Tech has turned dandelion weed into high-performance rubber tires. Dandelion weeds.
Hey, we do have plenty of those, don't we?
Yes. Pioneering methods boost U.S. rubber production through innovative TK dandelion and guayule shrub latex extraction. We are experiencing a primary natural rubber shortage right now. No! Due to disease in Southeast Asian markets. And so new approaches are being used to replace rubber. I remember synthetic rubber. That was a big deal in World War II, I believe. We've always been looking for rubber substitutes. So now they're trying to extract latex from two North American plant sources, the dandelion and the guayule shrub, Guayule. They are getting some success with this. Researchers of Ohio State University, led by Katrina Cornish, and they're trying to increase the latex yield from dandelion and the guayule shrub. This could be a big deal if it's actually successful. The guayule latex extraction involves grinding the shrub's bark to release latex particles into a milkshake. Then you add flocculants. You have washing cycles to enhance the overall latex from the plant. And you get a stronger, softer polymers that are very valuable properties in creating rubber. The dandelion latex is mostly extracted from the roots of the dandelion. Nathaniel King Smith, a graduate student, discovered that adding what's called EDTA to the extraction process significantly increased the latex yield, which allowed immediate latex extraction without the months-long storage period for it, which was apparently the standard before that. So a much more efficient, timely method. Now the next step is they partner with chemists, they call flocculant chemists, to refine the guayule extraction process further. Ohio State's planning to build a full-scale latex processing plant on their Worcester campus.
I'm kind of curious what fascinates you about this particular article. This seems so out of your normal lane. Dandelions, latex.
It's a significant step, I think.
Because you have to grow these rubber trees in these jungles, and now you could just throw these dandelion seeds, actually just blow on the dandelion and the seeds fly away. And then you could just have this farming dandelions and then produce tires or whatever you need, rubber, and they're high quality latex.
So it's kind of like the fascination of being able to grow your own alcohol fuel or something. You could farm your industrial building products.
Instead of having to grow them in jungles or near the equator, you could grow them in any state in California.
The Worcester campus in Ohio. Ohio State, yeah. Exactly, yeah. It's much more a readily available supply, especially since the resilience of the global supply chain is so wobbly right now. The potential collapse of economies due to a shortage of natural rubber is profound.
I see. So we're going to have to stop exploiting nature and actually work with nature if we want to continue creating stuff.
Well, it's all working with nature, but it's working with nature in a more refined way, in a way that's not as difficult or detrimental.
Like not using all the rubber from all the rubber trees.
Right, or growing giant rubber plantations or having to do that. Oh, he has a big dandelion plantation. I think is more what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they grow faster.
As opposed to rubber plants. Yeah. A lot of things happen with dandelions that don't happen with rubber plants.
Let's make a wish.
Yeah. Make a wish and get new tires.
Grow your own.
Now, this seems to be happening quite often. A repurposing of an old drug that has new effects. Now, I think the AIs are playing a big role in finding new purpose to old drugs. In this case, it's the repurposing of a cancer drug that caused a complete reversal of cognitive decline in mice.
And that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, Dr. Grass found that a small dose of a chemotherapy drug called paclitaxel might be capable of repairing injuries caused by the pathology of Alzheimer's. Very, very interesting. A small dose of a chemotherapy drug, paclitaxel, Paclitaxel, the trauma of treatment.
I guess when we start talking about Alzheimer's, it makes me feel a little...
I don't know what to say.
I don't. I don't really know what to say. I don't know how to comment on pharma insights into potential age-related diseases. To me, it's too many abstractions away from what I understand about life.
I think we could go back to the mushrooms.
Yeah, it is something linked there. Yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
I think what we're trying to do is revitalize or grow neurogenesis, grow new cells in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
I think if this chemotherapy drug can help along with that, just think about people that have TBIs or traumatic brain injury. It would be nice to have some drug that immediately repaired the damage that's happening in someone's brain, which happens not just the time of injury, but progresses over time.
Well, and imagine when people start getting their hyperlinks, they're going to have to repair all the damage of trying to insert some new technology to have direct access to the AI data bank.
Yeah.
And if we're talking about neurogenesis, being able to grow new brain cells, we're going to have a bigger experiment going on, because people want their brains not just to regenerate, but to expand, to have more capacity. That's one of the big things about the future, is not just thinking better as you get older, but actually allowing your brain to receive more inputs.
I think what's happening is a diet of Americans where what's created is these amyloid proteins that there's no way to actually clean them out of your brain as you get older. And when they collect up, the lymph system of the brain has to flush them out. But when it slows down and it can't clean them out, it gets clogged up and you start losing brain cells that way. So I think anything that can actually revitalize your brain cells so they're functioning correctly and at their best and have enough energy, which goes back to the mitochondria in these cells. Anything that can improve that, I think, would be very helpful. I wish I had known about a lot of these drugs when my mother had Alzheimer's, but better late than never.
Better that you find it before you might deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure, for example, right? Yeah. Many of us that are still able to think about these things.
Yeah, our peer group is definitely becoming the test subject for this particular
I get to
research, isn't it?
To see, well, which friend should benefit from this information.
Got any friends wondering
here's
if
one.
they have Alzheimer's?
Now, this one actually, Gabrielle had sent me in this other piece on Alzheimer's today, which was all about how your personality affects your dementia.
Okay.
The connection between personality and dementia.
What do we need to know about that?
According to the World Health Organization, 55 million people suffer from dementia. Okay, now that's a general term, anything that affects your memory and cognition in the later stages of life. People who have been diagnosed with it, the disease that they have in common, people have been scratching their heads because dementia is complex and its causes are multifaceted, and it's not easy to have a direct causal relationship regarding dementia. So it's been confusing. However, analyzing the data today, we're starting to get some interesting patterns. Some of the patterns that are being extracted is that there's a strong link between a person's personality traits and not just their risk of getting dementia, but also their resilience to dealing with it once they have it. Whether personality is linked to dementia, they studied 5 personality traits. Openness to new experiences. Some people are more open than others to experience. Conscientiousness, or that's when you're a hardworking person or you're goal-oriented. Another personality trait is extroversion. You all know what that is. Another is agreeableness. How agreeable are you to others? And another is neuroticism. How neurotic are you? We use these terms all the time.
Yeah, you don't really think of people studying neuroticism. You think of people either just being that way or dealing with people who are that way. But how does studying these qualities reveal the issue?
Well, this team assessed people's subjective well-being as well, their life satisfaction, how often they experience positive and negative emotions. And they did lots of surveys over time to get an idea of a participant's personality. The team found that high scores on negative personality traits, like neuroticism, and low scores on positive traits, like conscientiousness and extroversion, were associated with a higher risk of receiving a dementia diagnosis.
First of all, these studies are self-disclosure
studies?
No,
these are part of a study done by researchers who published in the Alzheimer's and Dementia, the Journal of Alzheimer's Association.
Okay, but
44,000 participants.
Did you take away from the description of these studies that individuals were asked to rate themselves on these qualities, and that the people who rated themselves as extroverted and neurotic?
No, they didn't rate themselves. I believe that they were rated by scientists. The scientists in the study investigated the big 5 personality traits. So
okay.
I think they assessed it.
And so they said that the most likely to have Alzheimer's are introverted and neurotic. Is that right?
Neurotic and negative emotionally oriented.
Oh, okay. So sort of your typical paranoid person. That would be
typical paranoid,
more likely to have dementia.
High scores on negative personality traits. What's more, they weren't small changes. Like a 10% increase in conscientiousness, for example, was associated with 15 times lower odds of getting dementia.
Oh, Oh, interesting. So if you're living ethically and if you're showing up and doing what you say you're going to do, and if people can count on you, you're less likely to have dementia. But if you're a flakeazoid who says one thing and does another, then you're more likely to have dementia. Well, that makes sense. You have habits where you forget what you tell people.
A pretty substantive difference, according to Dr. Emery Beck, one of the lead authors of the study, assistant professor of psychology at the University of California, Davis.
So it sounds like the trust that people have in people who are paranoid abusers of power, we should be very careful that these people are more likely to have dementia.
More likely, yes. Yeah, be careful. They kind of expected these kind of results. Having a positive personality is usually associated with a healthier lifestyle or being more educated and less lonely and less stressed, all of which are mediators of dementia. Loneliness, stressing, less healthy lifestyle.
All right. Well, it sounds like the more trauma and PTSD in your life, the more you retreat from it by losing your mental faculties, whether it's physical or mental or a combination. Stress just takes your ability to deal with it out.
Now, there was a surprise hidden in the data. And when they were performing autopsies on the brains of participants later.
Oh, those poor people.
Ones that died, I assume.
Yeah.
They had characteristic signs of dementia, plaques, as Bobby was saying earlier, brain cells, plaques in the brain.
Yeah.
Had no
Clogs.
association with personality traits.
Plaque.
In other words, personalities seem to be able to protect a person from exhibiting symptoms of dementia even where the pathology was present in the brain. So I guess you could have plaque and be positive and you would not experience the plaque problem.
So let me again just decode. So they did autopsies on people who were considered to be either suffering with dementia or compared with people who were not suffering from dementia. And they found that both of them had plaque in the brains, but the more positive people weren't exhibiting the signs of it.
Not exhibiting the signs of dementia, even when the pathology was present.
Right. Even when their
plaque
was
that fosters the idea that positive traits might make the brain more resilient to the disease itself.
And that maybe there's more to it than just the physiological dimension. That maybe the brain is actually forming those plaques based on the thoughts that you're having.
How is it that two people with seemingly the same damage could have completely different symptomology? And main difference was their personalities. They're not exactly sure how that works. It's a bit of a puzzle they're trying to unpack. I guess they need more understanding of the psychology of it, of the effects of psychology.
All right, so it sounds like you better think positive or you're going to lose your ability to remember your thoughts.
Yeah. And now, if you're feeling neurotic.
Works for me.
So now, if you're feeling extra neurotic because of the fact that you're neurotic and you're conscious that if you're neurotic, you're going to more likely get Alzheimer's, don't fret.
So you think I shouldn't worry about my frequent memory lapses where I'm just poorly informed?
Yes, poorly informed.
Yeah, I don't mind being a little Emily
Dickinson, now Emily Post.
I was going to say Emily Latella. Is that the right name of Gilda Radner's
character?
Never mind.
No. Yeah, that's right. I know that character. Yeah, but I know her
Did
name.
I remember her name properly?
I have no idea.
I think it is. I think it was Emily Latella.
She points out that personalities change over time. As people age, they tend to become less neurotic and more conscientious. That's the good news. It kind of makes sense. You have chaotic rule-breaking youth, and slowly things calm down and become more orderly as life slots into place.
Oh, good. I'm sure my family's going to be relieved to hear that.
Yeah.
Yours too, no doubt.
Still, some people maintain some negative aspects all the way through life, and anyone can be hit by bouts of negativity, but become more conscientious and positive. You can build good habits and routines that will keep you healthy.
Well, it sounds like if people would just learn to smile. There are people who are very concerned and have serious issues that they feel like they have to be responsible for, but to the degree that seriousness becomes lacking in humor, maybe that's where it goes over the edge.
Oh, that's a good theory. We got to do a study on humor then and health, right?
The inability to laugh and smile is actually the cause of mental decline.
Oh,
that's my theory. I'm sticking to it.
Too much seriousness is a disease.
It is the disease. That's right. Yeah. By any other name.
Well, there's evidence that if you are neurotic, there's evidence that getting some therapy can decrease those behaviors and improve your health.
What kind of therapy? Chocolate?
Well, I guess it depends on the person. I know
Chocolate.
suppressed pain and emotion are stored in the musculature, so even maybe rolfing.
Massage.
Yeah, it might make a difference.
Okay. I would surrender to these therapies. No problem.
So the scientists in this study say that if you want to get towards some more positive lifestyle and mental state, start small, they suggest. Take 10-minute walks after your coffee in the morning. And that they said that alone, it would create enough of a big change to start building a more conscientious life.
Okay.
Conscious life, all right?
I like it. Positive steps in the right direction.
Yeah, positive steps.
All right. So you got any more about dementia?
No, that's enough. That's enough
Okay.
for dementia. Unless Bobby has something to say on it.
There's a lot of studies that come out of Arizona where they take the brains of people that have Alzheimer's and compare them to, they have to sign up for this before they die, that they're going to donate their brains to science, right? And a lot of the studies about methylene blue came out of this study. They were looking at people that took methylene blue that didn't and looked at their brains afterwards, and they were looking for those tau tangles and beta amyloids that were in the brain. And they found out that methylene blue definitely had an effect on those people and prevented them from getting severe dementia in that respect. So that's where this ergothioneine is very exciting, because it works on the same mechanism as methylene blue on the mitochondria in the 1, 2, 3 on the fourth phase before it turns into ATP.
And back to the mushroom thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's back to the mushroom thing.
Yeah.
So it's just giving energy to these neurons. And inside of every neuron, there are maybe 1,000 mitochondria. And each one of them produce a little bit of energy to get that neuron to work, to fire off.
Yeah. See, that's interesting. Hey, Gab, do you want to say goodbye to our audience? We're just about to sign off the air here.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's here. We cycle back to mushrooms, and Gabrielle shows back up again.
Well, hi. It's so good to be back.
All right.
Thank you so much, Dr. and Mrs. Future. It's always a pleasure. I've been with you for 3 weeks.
It seems like just 3 days.
Of it.
I know.
Yeah, we love you so much.
Too soon. Thank you so much. Your warmth and your kindness and your love for more than half my life now have just really created such a beautiful reality for me, this kind of dream existence that I've always wanted.
Well, I just want to let your whole family know we love you to pieces, and we love them with you, and we can't help it that we have so much fun together, and they're all welcome to
we always
join.
have fun. I hope all your listeners understand that every time Dr. and Mrs. Future and I are together, magic happens. And we don't even ask for it, do we? It just
just
there.
happens.
Just
as
the
way
way
it goes.
we were made.
We've never had a bad time ever. It's always good, which I can't say that about all of my friends and family, that's for sure. So yes, thank you so much for being such a beautiful presence in my life consistently over these years.
Oh, thank you for being such an awesome friend.
Which I'd like to give a shout out to Nick Herbert, our friend.
Dr. Nick,
Dr. Nick.
Right.
Yeah, we
Our
love
long
shout out to Nick.
If it hadn't been for him, we wouldn't know you.
No, yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
Yes. And thank you, Jim Clancy.
Yes.
Back in New Jersey.
JC, baby.
And
You
Ong's,
did good, man.
Ong's hat.
Yeah,
and,
Jim brought a book home 25 years ago called Quantum Reality that Dr. Nick Herbert wrote.
That's right.
And Jim left it in the bathroom. Where
really?
where
Is that how you discovered it? We were the result of a bathroom.
Where I read it.
Jesus.
The next thing we know, the rest is history, folks.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah.
Right. Here we are now.
Well, hey.
Okay, well, the last minute, I've got a couple of new exit songs that were come from Greg Panos to send us up to us. So we're going to show
thank you,
that.
Greg.
Yes.
We're going to play that.
Greg plus the AI.
Right. Well, let's see what they sound like. This is a pure AI. Thanks, Gabby, again. Love you.
Love you
thank you. Love you.
All right.
And thanks, Bobby.
Come on, man.
And here we go.
Time is running out.
Tune in to the Dr. Future Show for a weekly fix. Information so exciting and new it gives you kicks. Internet radio featuring Dr. Future Alan Lundell and his partner in mind, son Marion, tells it so well. They discuss the latest in space and virtual reality, exciting us with science breakthroughs and schism, artificial intelligence and techno-spiritualism. Amazing guests call in from outer space, synchronizing our brains with their interface.
That was fun. Okay, thanks, Bobby. Thanks, Gabby.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Mwah.
Love you all. Bon voyage.
Thank you.